And we just want to thank you for coming out to our self-defense class this afternoon. We hope that the information that will be given to you is helpful. We're trying to go through every scenario that we could think of that you as a woman, because that's the majority of everybody in here, might encounter in real life and how to get out of the situation. We won't be, doing hand-to-hand combat or anything like this, but I think some of the stuff that you will get from this afternoon is basically ways to separate yourself from the person that's trying to do harm to you so you can get away, to call the good people, the police, and also just being mindful of situations around you and not to get into that situation where you could be a victim. On each chair, there's a goodie bag. We put some goodies in there for you. There is a personal alarm that I'll show you at the end how to activate, and also a whistle. There's also a card of the victim's rights, constitutional rights that you have as a victim, so that if you ever are a victim of a crime, you know that what the prosecutor and the police, what we're supposed to give to you and what services you are entitled to as a victim. We want to make sure that you know that, since this week is Victims' Crimes Week. So we hope that the information that will be provided will be helpful. And we hope that if you have any questions, feel free to ask them right then and there. We don't mind, and we will try to answer.
Keyword, the DA used victims. We're doing this presentation in order to reduce the number of victims, and we want to be proactive in keeping ourselves safe. And by doing so, we reduce all the crime numbers. So please, please, please listen closely. Now is not the time to be bashful. I met a couple of folks just briefly. Relax, take in the information. We have an excellent trainer from our department that's going to make the presentation. Don't hold your questions. He'll give you time and he will answer each and every one of them. We have someone manning the chat for our folks that are joining us virtually, and we'll try to address those too. But enjoy. I think it's going to be beneficial. The being I sat through the first session, and I think it was well received, and I think it will go a long way as we try to expand our footprint and keeping the citizens of Clayton County safe. This is the way we're going to do it. Enjoy.
Enjoy.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right. This morning went a little bit longer than I wanted to. Originally, I was like this hour and a half. Ended up pushing close to 2 hours, but hopefully I will be a little bit more succinct this afternoon. And first of all, welcome to Clayton County Police Department. I always like just let you know we're with heavy hearts here at CCPD. We lost an officer earlier this week. And his family sends our thoughts and prayers as we have a funeral on Monday for Officer Mendoza. See if we're working today. Yes, outstanding. As Chief introduced me, my name is Lieutenant Jeff DeCastle. I'm in my 29th year of law enforcement. I've been in a Clayton County Police Department uniform since 2005, and I've had a very, what I consider a successful career. I've got to do a lot of things I wanted to do. Been part of the Clayton County family, law enforcement, my entire law enforcement career in Clayton County, 29 years. So this is something I'm very passionate about. Okay, very passionate about. As far as my career, my duties, where I'm coming from, my first 5 years, basically not too long after the academy, I was assigned to narcotics. So I did undercover for about 5 years. I was at the sheriff's office, on the sheriff's office SWAT team, the criminal warrant service there. And then I started moving more into an instructor role, and I've been in some form of an instructor role for now most of my career. So now I'm assigned to academy staff. I'm will be the assistant academy director. I'm a defensive tactics instructor, which is hand-to-hand, a firearms instructor, driving instructor. Pretty much law enforcement officers can do it. I probably teach it. Taser instructor. I mean, it just goes on and on. And that's what I do. Additional duties, I look at all our use of forces and make recommendations. And I'm a use of force expert. So occasionally I'm called on to testify, hopefully for officers, but I have testified against officers. Okay, just depending on what the case is.
I'm sorry.
No worries.
It's coming.
All right, so today's topic, the problem. Oh my goodness. How many of you have some type of accumulated stress. And I'm talking about things like you go shopping, you come back out to the lot, and in your mind, I'm not talking about scared, but in your mind, there's a tiny amount of anxiety about the walk to the car. Or that I'm going to get to the car and the car is going to be broke into. Or what about when you go on vacation, you come home and you're like, thank goodness, my house is, everything's okay. And it's good. I've been away. Flat panel's still hanging on the wall. We're good. Okay. I feel it. When I round the corner to my house at the end of a cul-de-sac, and when I turn onto my street and I see my house, I'm like, okay, it's still standing. The door's not open. Okay. So all of us have that as part of modern culture. We live in a setting that we have, like kind of a semi-urban setting. We worry about it to a certain extent. Accumulating stress. I'm still working. What we have to do on there. All right. So we're having
You need to go forward.
Yep. There we go. All right, so the fear, the loss, the stress. So in my opinion, it's a quality of life thing, right? Crime is a quality of life. You should, you know, in my perfect world, we don't feel stress from crime or the possibility of crime. Not realistic. So topics we're going to talk about, some basic crime prevention concepts. Walking safety, exercising, safety while we're traveling in our vehicles, safety at home. We're talking about workplace safety somewhat, safety in dating and relationships, okay? And some of the weapons that we can employ against crime so these things don't fly out. This is, haven't had any training in criminology or any of those types of things. This is basic criminal justice 101, need and opportunity theory. What does it take for a crime to take place? What makes a crime happen? Well, first of all, there's a need. Okay, some of these are very human needs, and some of these are like you're going to look at these and go, okay, well, I can check that box. That's maybe a need I have. Need for money, need for power. Okay, that sounds great. I need power. Okay, how many of us think about, oh, I'd like to be a celebrity or what it would be like to be important in society? Okay, it's okay. Sexual gratification. We're all human beings, right? Okay. May have needs have to do with substance abuse, drug addiction. So biggest thing is we, the victim, which I will tell you straight up, I don't like the term victim. I don't. If we encounter crime and we survive, we are survivors. I want you to be empowered. You know, if something bad happens to you, I want you to come away smarter, mentally stronger, and a little wiser. And you're like, okay, that ain't ever gonna happen again, right? So, but nevertheless, we don't have control over what the needs are. Now, here's where we do have control, okay? The opportunity. Now, first thing about any opportunity involved in a crime that might take place is it's going to fulfill the need, okay? Now, it has to be a low risk, okay, or lower risk for the crime to take place. I've seen where someone talks about, you know, some criminal, they got arrested. Well, it was a cry for help and they got arrested. No, I've never met a criminal that wanted to get arrested and get caught. Okay, they don't. They would prefer to not get caught. They would prefer to not go to jail. They would prefer to not have a structured lifestyle for their future. Okay, they don't want to get caught. So the lower the chance of getting caught, the more the chance of the crime occurring will be. Okay, so basically, the lower the risk, the higher the chances are the crime will occur. So you think of it as kind of a scale. Okay, the need is getting fulfilled, and if the risk is low, truly low, the crime will occur. Hope everybody needs to, by the way. I'm a COVID survivor and COVID vaccinated, so I'm not going to get any closer than 6 feet. So I understand that. Okay. Now, the thing with the opportunity part of the equation, that is completely within our realm of control. This is where we get to make a difference. This is where you as a person can make a difference. You can control the opportunity, okay? All right, so we want to reduce and we want to control these opportunities, right? Ideally, we want to use multiple strategies for given situations, okay? So in other words, no one strategy is going to buy us the pass that we're not going to have a crime encounter, okay? But maybe if we have multiple strategies, multiple concepts, it's going to be a better process. Understand the power of perception. There's a lot of things we can do to create a perception And what we want is that need and opportunity theory. Someone who's got this need, they may have it in their mind that they're going to burglarize a home today. Right? They left the house. We don't want it to be our house. Right? That's the kind of the concept. Can we make the process not involve us? All right. We want to make ourselves, our cars, our homes high risk, low opportunity situations. That's what we want to do. We want to tip the scale for our advantage. Okay. Now that need and opportunity theory, I could kind of give you an example, kind of plain like how it kind of works. Need and opportunity theory. I'm kind of outdoorsman. Imagine I'm hiking up on the Appalachian Trail somewhere, okay, by myself, and I get off trail for whatever reason. I make a turn. Oh, now I'm in the woods. Okay, I'm looking at my compass, my map, and I'm off trail. And lo and behold, under some leaves, what is that? I go over there, and it's a suitcase. It's been laying in the leaves for years. I pull it out. I'll open it up out of pure curiosity, and in there, in plastic bags, is U.S. currency, a whole bunch. I'm looking at it. I'll start flipping through it. All the serial numbers on those bills are from the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm looking around and I'm not seeing no cameras. I don't see Rocky the squirrel with a camcorder or a cell phone. Okay. There's a lot of folks that's a low risk opportunity to fulfill a need, right? For a lot of people, that suitcase is going with them. Now, to be fair, there is a law called theft of miscellaneous property that's actually against the law, even if you found it in that setting. Okay, so, but that would create a really low opportunity, right, to fulfill the money need. Okay, chances are some people would take that suitcase and never look back. Right. We're having trouble with the clicker this morning. See what happens. All right, we click it twice. There you go. We'll go right to the next one. Friendly stranger. Click one more time for me. Okay. This is a standard tactic used by bad guys. Okay. I think these are bad guys, criminals, people who have less than appropriate intent with us. All of these people, all these faces are serial killers. And almost every single one of them employed the friendly stranger tactic, including the most famous one there in the middle is Ted Bundy. By all accounts, Ted Bundy was charming. He smiled. He shook everybody's hand. He was the guy that you want your daughter to date. I mean, he had that persona. Okay, and it was all fake. He was pure evil. Pure evil. Okay, and there's a lot of people in our society that are predatory. Okay, and that friendly stranger approach, almost by itself, you should kind of question. The next slide here. So remember this, charming is a verb, not a trait. Okay, you ask yourself, why is this person charming me? Okay, his intentions may be less than upright. Okay, so you just gotta have that in your mind. When you see somebody and they say, oh, this person's really friendly, this person's really nice. Ask yourself the question, are they charming or is it a genuine trait? For the most part, it's not. Now, stereotypical used car salesman. Okay? What how do you pick up on that? Smiles too much. Okay? Smiling is a concealment expression. Okay? It's a concealment expression. It's a very easy expression to control. And it's it has a particular look. It's a smile, right? Should be okay. Now I'll kind of give you the litmus test of how can y'all figure out whether this is I'm being charmed or this person's actually a genuinely friendly person. A smile that's been put on is only in the mouth. A genuine smile is in the eyes. Okay, someone who genuinely smiles, you see the crow's feet at the corner of the eyes. It involves every muscle in the face. When someone genuinely smiles, it's coming from their heart. Okay, that used car salesman, it's just right here. It's just right here. Y'all all human beings, right? Y'all have all experienced this and you've seen it. So where this gets complicated is what is the setting? What if it's an online dating setting, so this is the first time you've met somebody? Things like this, where your perception may not be quite straightforward as you would like, okay? So just think of that. All right, so victim selection. Now, I'm quoting, and where I get this slide from, this information is from the Grayson Stein study, which was a study done way back in the 80s, but it's an important study. Now, what they did in this study, what they found out was that violent offenders select their prey. It's not at all random. It's not based on size, gender, race, or anything else. Okay, it's based on body language. All right, it's a predator-prey selection process. Okay, so how did they come up with this study? What was this study consisted of? Okay, because this was a university study. They went to different prisons all over the United States, and they voluntarily interviewed inmates that were all violent offenders who did stranger on stranger crime. That means they assaulted somebody they didn't know, either rapists or muggers or whatever the deal was. They selected people to victimize. They showed them a clip, about a 10-minute clip of people walking on a sidewalk in New York City. All these inmates saw the same clip, okay, independently. And then they were asked, who in the video would you pick to victimize, okay? And this is where this was like a really weird light bulb goes on, because inmates in New York and inmates in California that didn't know each other picked the same people in the same video. They selected the same random people on the street. So what were they seeing? What did the researchers were able to rain out of the data? What did they see? Stride. How long someone's stride was, whether it was a long stride or short stride, if it was out of the norm for some reason. Like I said, a lot of times these inmates, they weren't using these words. They would just say, yeah, I get that guy, or yeah, that girl right there. So the researchers had to kind of rain this out. Rate, how fast or how slow someone moved. And again, it was the ends of the spectrum. Someone who moved really slow, they appear infirm. Something's wrong with them. They're not healthy. If they move too fast, paranoid of their environment, simply trying to get through, scared of where they're at. Okay. Fluidity. Okay. How fluid someone moves. Okay. If you see someone who's ever had like ballet or dance, and how they're able to walk in a room just as fluidly and softly and delicately as possible, they are completely in control of their body, right? Even if it's fluid and smooth, they're controlling every part of their body. Not an easy target when you see fluidity of movement. The opposite would be not fluidity. Wholeness of person. If the person limped, didn't move their arms, or moved their arms too much, these were all things that these people saw. Okay. Someone who's walking, you see somebody walking, they're actually swinging their arms too much, like they're actually having to invest their arms in the movement of their legs. Or worse, someone who looks like, this is weird, you've seen this, people who walk and don't move their arms. It's weird, but people do it. And so what it looks like from a psychological point of view, because you attach the psychology to it, is this is a person who, one, they're not controlling their body well, and they're kind of scared of their environment. They're keeping their arms and stuff tucked in for a reason. Inmates saw all this type of stuff. Okay, posture and gaze was the biggest one. It's number 5. Where were their eyes looking, and what was their posture? Okay. They noticed people who looked downtrodden and immediately picked them as targets. Okay, the shoulders roll forward, the gaze is down. They picked up on that right away. Not aware of your surroundings, not willing to make eye contact with other human beings. An easy mark. Okay, so we can take all these things and for crime prevention, it sounds crazy. It's trying to be in good, decent physical shape. Okay, outside even taking a defensive tactics course. And then, of course, body language. Shoulders back, head up, chin up, aware of your surroundings, and okay with making eye contact with people passing the other way. Okay, they noticed all these things. All right, so controlling opportunities when we're out walking. All right, the first one is one that says all the classic crime prevention stuff. And to me, I'm not gonna say it's a bad one because it's definitely appropriate. And that is don't go walking exercising alone. Not always possible, right? I've been an avid runner off and on, and I've never had a run partner. Okay, of course I'm a guy, but I, go out and run 4 miles from home, no cell phone, just gotta watch. Okay, so when possible, yes, have a training partner. Not always possible, but I gotta throw it in there because it's absolutely true. Okay, keep your cell phone on your person, not your purse. Okay. I'm gonna talk about this some more later on as we go on, but if you're being robbed, okay, to me, there's certain things should be sacrificial. Everything in a purse or bag can be replaced. Here you go. But you want the ability, as soon as you separate from the suspect, to call. Okay, so that phone tucked in somewhere where it's not readily visible, because now cell phones have value and people will rob you just for the cell phone. Okay. But you want that on your person. That way, if you do throw your purse or it's a physical assault and you have to get away, as soon as you break away, you want the ability to get on that cell phone and call for help. Okay. It needs to be on your person. Okay. All right. So limit items on person. What I mean by that is, I'm going to repeat this a lot. If something is really valuable to you, do a risk calculation about whether you need to have it in a given place. Okay. How many of you notice nice jewelry? Okay. I'm a watch guy. I notice nice watches. Somebody's wearing a Rolex Submariner, I'll notice it from across the room. Okay. All right. So I can't tell how many times I've seen, a young lady and she's got the engagement ring on, and that joker looks like, oh my goodness, somebody run their credit card up. That's about 12 carats all told together. So do you need to have that when you go for a run or a walk in the park? Okay, because if it's there, you have to think like a bad guy. Somebody's sitting they're observing people, they're going by and they're looking at the jewelry and they're going 1,500, 3,000, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then all of a sudden $20,000, that pops in their head because they're looking at you as a dollar sign. And if you represent a big enough dollar sign, that need risk opportunity equation changes. Okay. In my personal life, I enjoy fishing. It's one of my hobbies. Okay. And most difficult is catching natural trout. Okay. And fly fishing. And you land that fly on the water, and it drifts right by the trout. He's right there in the edge looking at it. You got to have the right food, and you got to get the right distance to the fish. Because that trout, he's in the water, and he looks at that bug, and he goes, am I going to burn more calories to go get it than what it's worth? That fish makes a real quick guesstimation about effort versus reward, and he stays in the edge. Unless you get the fly closer, and then he'll recalculate. Okay, well, suspects are the same way. Criminals are the same way. They're looking for what is the risk reward equation. So we want to do what? We want to keep it minimum. So limit what all you have. When I see somebody and they have a whole bunch of jewelry and stuff on, I'm like, ooh, don't walk in the wrong place with that. Okay. A fake wallet. I'll talk a little bit about that, but what is a fake wallet? That is, if you have somewhere in a drawer, an old wallet or wallet purse, whatever it is that you used to use, but it's now kind of been relegated to the bit back of the drawer. What you do is you put some used credit cards in there, or some of those fake cards that you get when someone sends you an offer. Load it up. Okay, load it up with just whatever junk, random little piece of paper. Put some currency in it. Put some ones in there. Put some fives in there. A couple tens in there. Okay. And it is totally sacrificial. It is, oh, no, here, this is all I have. They take it, boom, you separate from them. It's going to take them a block before they stop, duck into an alley somewhere and look through it and realize all they got was a little bit of money. Okay, meanwhile, you have separated from them. I love to travel, but when I travel in a big city, I love New York City. I have one of these. I've luckily never had to use it, but I have it front pocket. Now I have a little mini wallet with my real stuff. Okay, but I've got something to hand off. And I got a little money clip wallet, so I got some. I know what they want. They want currency, nothing. Okay, oh, here, that's all I got, man. Okay, good. Now we separate. Later on, they're gonna find out they just got took. Okay, perfectly okay to set those kind of stuff up. All right, so driving your car. All right, opportunities in car. I'm talking really fast because this morning I went over. I think Chief and looking at me strange. So all right. All right, driving your car. The biggest risk in the modern our modern society is when you're in your car, parking lots. This is your biggest exposure to stranger on stranger crime. So let me kind of give those definitions. Stranger on stranger means you are accosted by someone you have never met. That's stranger on stranger crime. Okay. And it gives us the biggest amount of anxiety because it has the least amount of control for us, right? That's the one that's in your mind of, oh, gives you stress. Okay. Okay. I'm going to give you the real scoop on this. Most crime victims is acquaintances. Okay. From domestic violence to rape to assaults. Generally, it's probably somebody you know would be most likely. Okay. And that's what we see in the numbers. Acquaintance rape outstrips stranger on stranger rape by huge numbers. Okay. All right. So you're in your car. Number one thing, this is like a huge one. Keep your car in good working order. Okay. I know that car maintenance costs money, but maybe check your tires. Lo and behold, that tire is going to blow at 2 o'clock in the morning somewhere you don't want to have you broken down. You by yourself. Okay. And that what was an inconvenience of getting that tire replaced, now you personally are in jeopardy because you're somewhere outside your comfort zone. And of course, hey, modern world, man, even if you got AAA or whatever, you get on your phone, use your app. How long is that going to take before your roadside assistance or your neighbor who said they'd come help you? How long does it take before they get there? And what type of exposure are you going to have in that period of time? If you want to shorten that down, it would be much better if just the car didn't break down. Truly, in our modern world, a reliable vehicle is an investment in your safety. It is reliable. Okay. All right. The importance of the basic car. All right. So let's say I'm going down to the car lot, and you were like, hey, Lieutenant McCaslin, I want a car that there's no way it's going to get broken into or stolen. What would you pick? Okay. It would be the basic car. It would be a sedan. It would be a 4-door model. It would be in fairly neutral colors, silver, champagne, that light blue color. Okay. And really, that lime green color, they make really kind of a nondescript car. It would have stock tires and wheels. It wouldn't have any aerodynamic features added to it. It probably wouldn't have tinted windows. It would be a basic car. Okay, because it doesn't draw the eye. I talked about that fishing lure thing. Okay, what cars get broke into? Primary color, red, black, bright yellow. Okay, things that draw the eye, draw the perpetrator. Okay, something as simple as a personalized plate. Cars with personalized plates, something like twice as more likely for them to be broken into with a personalized plate. Anything that draws unwanted attention, the aftermarket tires and wheels, the black tinted windows, aftermarket stereo system, extra graphics, the car's lowered, or the truck is raised. Okay, those are all things that just attract and make someone who's committed to breaking in the car think there is a reward for me breaking into this car. They're going to walk by. Okay. Also, what's in your car? Okay, this is, or more importantly, what should not be in your car. Like I said, I'm on academy staff, assistant academy director. There's things that we do. I'm real big on hypocrisy. I do not like hypocrites at all. So when I got my little police recruits and they park down the hill, we have a particular area that police recruits park. I go down there and look at their cars and things I better not see. Equipment violations, expired tags, cracked windshields. You know, if we're gonna go out and hold other people accountable, you better be accountable yourself. So I go down there and do my duty to snoop. And I can't tell you how many times I've reached up, car's unlocked. Or I cup a window and see a stack of bills with their name and address on it. Okay? So, and how much can you tell about somebody? There's been a lot of times I didn't think a recruit smoked until I looked in their car. Oh, there's a cigarette that's in the lighter. Oh, okay. No wonder they're having trouble with the run. Okay. Male, female, what type of clothing? I can tell you how many times I've seen like a female sweater, one of those buttoned up office sweaters hung over the driver's seat. Okay. I can tell who drives the car simply by looking at the interior. Okay. Now here's your nightmare scenario. Okay. Someone carjacks you in the parking lot. Give me your key. You know, give me your phone. They get in your car, boom, they close, they leave you standing there. Take your cell phone too. You stand there. They go by the block, look around the car. Hey. Oh, it's their home address. Oh, garage door opener. Plug that in your phone, GPS to your house with your garage door opener. Get into your house, load your car up with your flat panel TV, computers, Aunt Pearl's jewelry, and anything else they find they think they can pawn or have value. Load your car up, and now they've stolen your car and all the stuff out of your house. It gets worse. How many of you have in-dash navigation in your car? You have a car that has the navigation system in the car. Okay, you got the home set as home. Okay, yeah, that would be bad. Take your GPS and hit home and use your GPS to go to your house and steal your stuff. Okay, so what all is in your car that doesn't need to be there? You know, what type of identifiers? Okay, things where they can now use your garage door opener or an extra set of keys they find in the console and they know where to go. Okay, opportunities that don't need to be there. Okay, maintain your keyless and wireless systems. You know, if you have a car, a used car or whatever, those systems go down. So make sure, you know, you got batteries. You know, with a modern car, they have the chip keys and you actually have to call it automotive locksmith if you try to get more keys. It's kind of a pain, but they are available. Unless it's a brand new car, we have to go to the dealership. That will cost. That's several $100s. But if you've got a car that's say 5 or 6 years old, a lot of times you can call an automotive locksmith and they can reprogram another chip key so you can have backup keys for your car. Now I'm going to go with this next thing when I talk about keys. Hide keys. You know what I'm talking about, right? Little magnetic box you buy at Walmart, about $5, $10 at the most. Got a big magnet on it. Got a little thing, you put the key in it. Okay. I will tell you, every vehicle I drive has one. Okay. I want to limit my opportunities in strange environments. So what happens if I'm somewhere and I lock my keys in the car? Or worse, I have to run away from a bad guy who robbed me and took my keys. And my escape is my vehicle. Okay. So, you know, just simply locking your keys out of the car at a nightclub in a bad part of town. You're in a parking lot. How we get, when you look in the window, keys are on the, crap. Now you got to call AAA or a family member who has another key and they've got to come down there. Okay, right. And the whole time you were in a parking lot or in an awkward place. Okay. I want the ability to get back in my car. All right, now I'm going to give you the straight dope on the hide key. The hide key has to be hidden somewhere on the car where only you know where it's at. On my vehicles, I have to get on my back and slide halfway under the car and know exactly where my hide key is. No one is just going to come through the parking lot and do this and find my hide key. They're probably going to be a mechanic. It'll take me 1 second to get it. I mean, I know right where it's at. Okay. So I'm never stranded. I'm never in a position to have to call a locksmith or a family member to bring me a key or to find someone who can jimmy me back in my car. I will always be able to get back in my car and limit my awkwardness somewhere where I'm not in maybe an appropriate environment or an environment I want to be in. That makes sense? That simple basic idea in what? You got a spare key? Okay. Again, if your car is a couple years old, you probably can have an automotive locksmith make a key, or that you make a key that just opens the door. If you're a person who's constantly locking the keys in the car. Okay. Key fobs, like even this one has where it has a, a key. So you can still get in there. But that key can be made. A lot of automotive locksmiths can make that key where I can at least physically get back in the car if I lock my keys in the car, but it won't start the car. Only the fob will do it. So understand what type of system you have. You can buy additional fobs too and have them programmed. Okay. All right. Don't allow yourself to get hemmed in traffic. Okay. One of the big fears for everybody is to be carjacked. You're in your car. Somebody comes up to the driver's window with a pistol and says, "Get out, or I'm going to shoot through the glass." Okay. Kind of a horrifying crime. No one wants to be robbed like that. Left on the side of the road and you watch your car go away. Okay. So the biggest thing is, what are your driving habits to limit that exposure? Okay. Number one, multi-lane road. I want to be on either the outside lane or the very inside lane. What I want is the ability to use the car basically as a weapon. But the biggest asset of the car is it's mobile. Okay. The smallest car in the world can run over the strongest guy on the planet. Okay. They're not going to stop the car. Okay. But I want the ability to either drive up on the sidewalk or drive in the median to get away from someone who's on foot. Okay, which brings us to the next thing. Do not pull up bumper to bumper to the cars to the red light. Okay. It drives me crazy when I look at the person behind me is 3 foot off my bumper. And I'm like, why? Why? Okay. If someone hits them from behind, they're just going to be slammed into me. Okay. So have enough standoff distance that even if someone got out and you saw them approaching on foot, you can at least lurch forward 10 feet. Okay. To get away from them. So they're not the driver's door, and then you can take more decisive action to get out of it. To give yourself the space, especially when you see stuff, what people stand on the corner in strange places. Okay. But more likely, that's not how carjacking always happen. Road rage incidents. Oh my goodness. This right now is an epidemic. Okay. Pay any attention to the news of how many people are shot on highways and interstates, car to car shootings. The simple advice I give is do not engage with road rage driver. If somebody comes up behind you at a high rate of speed and all of a sudden they're tailgating you, do not slam on your brakes. Do not tell them they're number one. Okay? You know what I'm talking about? Okay? Just let them go. Just let them go. Maybe they're in a hurry. Maybe something's on fire. I don't know. But for you to get emotionally engaged is what some of these people want. Some of these people actually are looking for a confrontation, right? Don't engage them. Don't give them the opportunity. And sometimes it's an act of discipline. I'm a very much, you can tell, kind of a type A personality. And it is very difficult for me to sometimes go, okay, keep it in context. Keep it in context. We're just driving. Okay. Have a woosah moment. Okay. Just let it go. It's just really not that important. But how many times do we see on the news where somebody shot somebody over something like a parking space? You know, it's very tragic. So don't engage with it. Okay. I've had people like want to cut me off at a parking spot. Okay. I'm good. Fine. Whatever. I'm okay. I got 2 good getaway sticks. I'll walk a little further. I need the extra. All right. So you think you're being followed. Okay. Someone give me ideas. You think you're being followed. Look in the rearview mirror. This car made 2 turns that I made, and they're staying right behind me. This is the interactive part of the class. Okay. Well, what do you think you do?
Make another turn.
Drive to a police department. Good idea. What else?
Make a different turn from where I normally would.
Make a different turn from what you normally do. Absolutely.
Don't go home.
Don't go home. Absolutely correct. We're not going home. We're not going to take them to our house. Okay.
Go to somewhere where a lot of people are.
Go somewhere where there's a lot of people. Absolutely.
Sometimes pictures has like a safe place or something like that where a lot of police is still up there.
Right, and so I'm gonna kind of, first of all, you might not be being followed. Now, I worked narcotics for years and I had a chance to make a lot of enemies, so I'm usually always looking at my safety about who's following me. And I can't tell you how many times that I thought somebody was following me, and I'd get like a block from the house where I'm making the decision about not going home, and then they turn into something. They just happen to be, okay, so, and it's okay for us to be vigilant, but don't be nervous till it's time to be nervous. So how can I kind of do what I call it? Checking your six, checking your tape. Okay, it's a counter surveillance technique. Okay, the first one is if you're on a road like say Terre Boulevard with a bunch of intersections, is do a left-hand complete U-turn. Okay, well, don't violate state law. There's a sign that says don't do U-turns. But if you have the ability to turn around and go the other way, okay, and then turn back around and go the way you were originally going, that car follows you through that entire maneuver, you're probably being followed. The other one is the interstate check. Okay, you're on the interstate. You've got a car. You're like, man, this car's followed me through a couple of lane changes. They're staying right behind me. They're when I speed up, they speed up. I slow down, they slow down. Okay, so far they are failing all my. Am I being followed? Yes. Put on your blinker for the next exit. Get over like you're going to make the exit. If they do the same maneuver, they get over, put their blinker on. Okay. Right before the exit, turn the blinker off and go straight. If they don't go up that exit ramp, you're being followed. Okay. Right. So that's kind of two. If you need to, check, make sure, am I being followed, not being followed? You put somebody through those couple of tests. Okay. There is some others from, counter surveillance stuff, like driving to a cul-de-sac. That way, if they're truly following you, they don't know where you're going. They would follow you into the cul-de-sac. Okay. But I don't want my cars being that slow and that close to somebody. Okay. So, okay, you verify. Okay, they're being followed. Who gave me the police department answer? Drive to the police department. Absolutely correct. Also, hopefully with Bluetooth, once you verify, hey, I've got a car following me, at that point, you probably should be on phone with 911. Okay. You verified, you've done this, you've done that. They're definitely following you. Probably time to get on the 911 thing. You might be not familiar with the area and don't know where the police station is. Okay, you might not know where it is. Okay. And if you start getting stressful and nervous, fine motor skills are going to go away. You trying to on your phone going, where's the police department? Google, where's it? Okay. 911. Okay. And here's the other thing too. If it's late at night, like our police department headquarters here at night, there's an officer in the watch office, but the rest of the building's kind of a ghost town. So, and it's a long sidewalk to get to the front of the building. I live in the fair little town of Hampton down the road, and at night, there's no officers at headquarters. Their little headquarters buildings, at night, there's a sign that says call 911. The officers working are on patrol. No one's at the little headquarters. So if it's a small city, there may not be anybody even at the building. Now you had a fine idea. Okay, let's say you're not sure, but you would kind of like to have a little safer thing. Drive to the 24-hour QT, pull right up in front, get out as quick as you can, and go directly into the store where there's clerks and cameras. Okay. We've now we've made a very high risk type of situation with a bunch of witnesses and a bunch of cameras. Okay. So someone follows you through all that and they come in the QT after you. I mean, now it's getting crunch time. We have to fight. Whatever you'll have. So anyway. Okay. All right, as far as carjacking, suspicious traffic accidents, that should always, the classic carjacking event is someone to tap you from behind. Just tap you from behind, not enough to damage anything, just a little. And now because what they do is they want you to get out of the car, so y'all can have that driver's license insurance conference. And now they put a gun on you, take your car, and both cars drive away. You standing in the, on the dotted line. Okay, if you were unsure, if you're nervous about it at home, don't get out of your car, don't unlock your car door. Okay, if you know it was a very minor, I'm talking like there's no glass in the road, it's just a tappa, drive to the nearest gas station, get on the phone, call 911. I've been in an accident. I'm not sure the context of this. These people have been trying to rob me. It's absolutely fair to tell 911 your feelings about the situation. You know, especially if it's not a single driver. If it's a single driver, we're not a car. But if two guys get out or three guys get out, right? A single guy can't carjack. Was he leave his car there? Okay, so they get out, 2, 3 people. Yes, that should definitely make you a little bit nervous. If the vehicles are movable, it is okay under state law to move the vehicles out of the roadway. It drives me crazy, when I'm driving in Atlanta, I'll see somebody have a little fender bender and they stop in the middle of the interstate. Both cars are movable. You can move them. It is perfectly legal, okay, to get them out of the roadway. So I've got my soapbox on that. Motorist needs help. Okay, I'm a helpful person. I see someone who's broke down. The bad guys have used this. Stop somewhere, put their hood up, see who comes by. Okay. My biggest response to that is if you just feel like that person needs help, let's say it is like it's another female by themselves, they're on the side of the car, and you would like to help. I may roll my window down and say, hey, can I call somebody for you, or you got somebody coming? Would you like, and of course I'm also looking, make sure this is not some type of ambush, like they've got, because there are bad ladies out there too, who partner with other bad guys, and that's bait. They're wanting someone to stop and act like they're gonna help so they can rob them or carjack them. Okay, so be careful of that. All right, parking lots. Keep things out of sight. Again, the inside of your car should give away no clues as to who drives it, whether they're male or female or anything else. It should be pretty nondescript. Okay. And I tell you people out of the house, we get to the housing section, and I didn't mention it this morning, but what do you know about your own house? Have you ever walked around the outside of your house or apartment and tried to look in to see what you could learn about you? Because that's what the bad guy. Okay. Can they see the 75-inch flat panel Roku TV you have from outside? Okay. All right. So keep things outside. All right. So if I've got to pick where to park, if my choices are open lot or parking deck, choose the open lot. If you have a choice, the open lot is usually safer. Parking deck, not so much. Parking decks too, if you do have to park in the parking deck, I mean, you're going to go see something at the Fox, and you're just going to have to go on a parking deck. So is what it is. If there's elevators, get as far away from the ground level as possible. Okay. Criminals who would break into cars, they want an easy escape. They want an egress. And this would go for staying at a hotel. If you stay at a hotel, you want to be above the 3rd floor. 90% of a crime in a hotel occurs from the 2nd floor to the 1st floor. Most of it occurs at ground level, the lobbies, the ground level rooms. That's where most crime takes place. Same thing with a parking deck. Because a bad guy doesn't want to get hemmed up. He doesn't want to be breaking in the car. He's 5 levels up. If someone calls the police, he knows he's got to go down 5 levels to get out of there before the police show up. There's a chance he's going to get hemmed up, right? Okay. But if I have a choice, I want the open lot. If I'm at a grocery store, Walmart, whatever it is, I want to park directly in front of the entrances, even if it means I have to park out further as opposed to the sides. I would rather be straight out where people leaving or coming in are able to have a clear view to the front of the store. That particular area makes criminals nervous. They know they can be easily observed, right? They want to be off in the periphery. So if you have a choice about where to park, even if it's a couple spots up, further away, you'd rather be directly in front of the doors, okay? If it's at night, park under a light. If you think you're going to go in and come back out, it's going to be dark, think about that in advance, especially in the winter hours, right? When it goes from daylight to dark in about 30 minutes in December. Okay. You're going in a place at 4 o'clock, it seems like it's daylight. You're going to be there for 45 minutes and come back out, it's going to be dark. Think about that before you go in. Okay. Another thing too about the lots and the parking. I forgot to cover this morning, but when you go in, stop at the door, turn around and see where your car is. So when you re-enter the lot, you are not guessing about where you park. How many people walk the car to park lot? Okay, done it. Done. Best of intentions. Yep, come out and go. Okay, what do? We just increased our time on target, right? We just increased our time in the lot. Okay, and then worse, what if you go, I mean, you've done this, you're so lost, you go out one, then, oh, now you're having to weave in and out of the lines of cars because you're two rows. Especially like, parking at Christmas time at a mall somewhere, right? So we don't want to do that. All right, have your keys in your hand when you enter the lot. Okay, if you have to have the keys, okay? This is kind of, we look kind of cartoonish here, but what should it look like? You should be entering the lot literally like this. Okay, it should look like you're about to get into the very next car. And it should look like you're about to get, no, I was gonna get in that car. No, that car, okay? Even with the fob. Okay, your thumb's on the fob to unlock it. Don't unlock it till you're close, by the way, I told people this morning. Don't unlock it till you're close, okay? But you should be walking, and it should look like you are about ready to step into the very next vehicle before you enter the lot. Okay? What do a lot of people do? Get their keys when they get to the car. Okay? And this is mostly a female audience. What does it look like? Get to the car, shake the purse, see if it jingles in there, set it on the trunk. Okay. All this time, we're in the parking lot in an area we don't control where someone can come up, put a gun in our ribs, and say, get in the car. Just start walking toward the car, okay? You want to limit that amount of time. You want to be decisive, okay? If a suspect has read the situation and goes, oh, she's by herself, I'm going to get her. You want where the amount of time he has to act is finite, very small, okay? So the efficiency of key in hand, the illusion of looking like you're about to get into the very next car, even though you might be 20 cars deep, it should look like you're about to step into the very next car. Okay.
But now with the new fast form, whatever you're calling
Yep, Bob. Yep.
it, you can have it in your bag or your pocket and just walk up and push the button. So you're saying,
Absolutely.
don't do that either.
Well, no, you can do that. I mean, don't have modern cars, but to have that, can we modify this? Should you have a confident walk to the car? Yes, I can simplify it to, okay, I'm head up, shoulders back, and I look like I'm going right to the very next car, and then I go. Okay. Now here's a big one. As soon as you're in the car, lock the door. Okay, this is an act of discipline. Okay. A lot of people get into a car, they make the adjustment, seat belt, purse strings, phone on the dash. As soon as you're in the car and the car is closed, hit the lock.
Yep.
Okay. What I want you to imagine is you're in a dark parking lot and someone you don't see is down behind some cars. You get in there, you hesitate to lock, and the next thing you know, they have come up and got in the back seat and reached around, put a gun to your head and said, okay, we're backing up nice and slow. Don't do anything stupid. Now they're in the car with you, telling you to go somewhere else. Okay. And that little moment of hesitation, if you didn't hit the lock, provided the opening. Right? Okay, and then slider crimes. Okay, this is like a real big thing. Yes, ma'am.
A lot of times, just recently, a friend of mine, she went to a Kroger gas station, and the people were by the McDonald's. And you know, when you go pump the gas, sometimes you have to unlock your car to let the gas cap open. So she did that, and by that time, they already went in her car, took her stuff, and ran off.
Yep.
So yeah. Even at the house, I lock it until I.
The slider crime, the classic slider crime is you stop to get gas and you get out, you hit the little gas door button, you get out, close the door, you're dealing with the pump and all this stuff. And they come creeping up from the passenger side, slowly, they see your purse on the front seat, open it, reach up, purse, cell phone, whatever it is, and they creep away and or worse, they get in the car and you're pumping, and the next thing you know, there goes your car and you're putting gas on the concrete. Okay. When you're pumping gas, it sounds crazy. Even though you're standing right there, you take the fob and you hit the lock. And again, that hide key, because I think about this stuff. Somebody tries to carjack me at the pumps. oh my God, yeah, and I'm gonna take those keys and throw them as far in the dark as I can, and I'm gonna run, knowing that I can come back in 30 minutes when the cops are here and get my high key. Get back in my, get back in my car. They're not taking my car. If they shoot me, it's gonna be shooting on the run. They run, I get in the car. Now if they go find the keys, they might, but I'm gonna be like, oh my God, and throw the keys in the dark. They're gonna have to go chase the keys.
The car can be replaced, McCaslin.
The car can be replaced. You're absolutely correct. All right. So anyway, we want to limit our time. Get in the car, lock the car, and leave. Anytime the car is still, the rest of the world is not. The ability of somebody to walk up, tap the glass with a pistol, okay? I will limit my time on target. It's all about discipline and shortening the window of exposure, right? All right, so safety at home. All right, everybody nervous about being at home sometimes?
No.
Yes.
Shouldn't be like that, okay? All right, so where's this place?
Mhm.
Everybody ever seen this place?
I know.
I had you here earlier. Okay, everybody knows? Everybody recognize it? Okay, that is the gold depository building at Fort Knox, Kentucky. This is where all the gold for the United States is kept, is in that building. And even though it's formidable, guess what? It's also located in the middle of a military base with about 10,000 troops at any given time in the general area. Okay, and it was strategically located there because that's close geographically to the center of the country. If we were ever invaded by an outside army, they would have to cover some land. So it's not on. It was designed to not be on any coast. Okay, why it's in Kentucky. Okay, so that is the extreme of physical security. Okay, it is a concrete building with all sorts of sensors. It's got places where machine guns can pop up. And then even if you got inside of it, all the gold are in these huge vaults. So even if you got in there, you just wouldn't really get anything, even if you got through all the outside security, okay? So we want to control opportunities at home. We would love to live at Fort Knox where we truly can completely feel safe, but so we have to try to make our house kind of like Fort Knox. Or more importantly, make it where someone who wants to burglarize a home looks at our home and says, not that. Now, there's some things you may have never thought about if you bought a home, you have a homeowner. Knowing what I know about crime prevention, I will never have a house on a through street, a street where people drive through. Those houses are more apt to be burglarized as opposed to a house in a cul-de-sac or on a dead-end road. For the same reason as a suspect doesn't got to go much further than the third floor up in a hotel, doesn't want to be hemmed up. Same thing geographically with homes. Okay, a home on a cul-de-sac or dead-end street, they can feel the same amount of stress about they're going to get hemmed up. All right. So sometimes you can't control if you already own the home. Okay. Couple things: control outgoing information. Okay, about who lives there. Okay, how many of you shred all of your stuff you get in the mail? Okay, all right. Yeah, shred everything. All those credit card offers, junk mail. It's got your name on it. You know, whatever. It gets shredded if it goes out. Bad guys will dig through the trash, looking for information they can take advantage of. And in the modern world with computers, also stuff that we may not think is valuable information, but maybe they go through your trash and they get one piece of information off one piece of mail. They're able to get another piece of information off another piece of mail. And then out of another trash bag, they're able to get a third piece of information. And you don't know what they can cobble together from different sources, including an online search of who you are. Right? It gets kind of scary, okay, when you think about some of this. But you want to really try to control or limit it. I'm talking about, you know, who's in your circle of trust and what do they really need to know. Okay, now, hardened security, okay? The fact of the matter is, places that are hardened don't get hit. Okay, if the place looks difficult, bad guys will move on. That is true of terrorism too. Terrorists don't hit places where they're not going to be successful. They want to be successful. Same thing with burglary. They want to be successful. So a home that has Okay, the grass is cut, there's no bushes obscuring the front door. It has what looks like motion sensor lights. You can't really detect anything from the outside. It's got, looks like brand new locks on all the doors and deadbolts. This house starts looking imposing, okay, to someone who wants to be in and out of there in 3 or 4 minutes. Average burglar is like 3 or 4 minutes. They don't get in your house and walk around when they make a sandwich. They get in there, steal what they want to, and they leave as quick as they can. They're not in there long. Okay, so things you need to think about, like thorny shrubs. Okay, if you've got windows on the ground level, what kind of shrubbery is in front of them? Holly bushes. Okay, a lot of people don't think about what I call passive measures, but things like that make your house less inviting. It's a whole, security doors, heavy duty locks, alarm systems. Right now, everything with wireless systems. I mean, I've got the Ring door camera and a couple other Ring features in my house. That's cool. I can talk to my phone, Alexa, turn my bedroom lamp on, and bedroom lamp comes on from my phone. It's like, oh, it's magic. So, yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. And also with the Ring, you could, the other people in the neighborhood could tell you what's going on too with the Ring community.
Right, like, yeah, a bunch of my neighbors have it, and like, we signed up with a thing with Hampton Police Department. They just don't arbitrarily get it, but if a crime takes place, they know that we have it. And if my motion recorded it, then we can kind of network, and like I said, I live kind of on a cul-de-sac, so we kind of got a 360. We're gonna get car tags and stuff. We're gonna get some actionable information if something was to take place. All right, employee perception tools. Okay, this is some clever stuff. Okay, lights on timers. You can still buy the little timers that go in there. Like if you're a person that travels for work or whatever, the house should always have the appearance that someone is there. So you'd want those timers to reflect real world stuff. At night, the living room lights are on. And then like at 9:30, the living room light goes off, but the bedroom light is on. And then the bedroom light goes off at midnight. Okay. You would want all that timing features to kind of mirror what it should look like if somebody was home. Okay. Other things that you can have turn on, your TV. Okay. And with the flat panel smart TVs, they don't use as much juice as the old ones, but it gives that appearance. Now, alarms and alarm signs, dog beware, dog signs. Here's the thing with perception. If I can't afford an alarm system, can I afford the sign? The sign may be enough. The beware a dog sign. Okay. Do I really need to have the dog? I need the perception of the dog. I need the perception of the alarm. Because if a suspect standing at the curb sees those alarm signs and he decides to not burglarize my house based on signage, that was a cheap security measure. Okay, it's all about perception. I've given a speech similar to this to a group of ladies who were about to be flight attendants, and they were going to move to other cities, and they were going to get the thing with flight attendants are getting crash pads. Okay, basic cheap apartment in another city, and maybe they even share it with some other flight attendants. Like, okay, and where are you going to get an apartment near the airport? Convenient. Okay, so the advice I gave them: how are you going to list yourself in the apartment? What are you going to put on the mailbox? Okay, first of all, you would never put a female name by itself. Okay, it would either be an initial in the last name. Or if you want to get elaborate, you put Mr. and Mrs. Or Sergeant and Mrs. Or Lieutenant and Mrs. Okay, now what have I done? I've created a perception that there's a male and he's probably the military or police. Okay, now I can take the illusion a little higher, pop in the nearest Army surplus store. Y'all got used service boots? Yep, $5 a piece. I need some size 12s or 13s. Okay, muddy them up and you put them next to the door. The same thing with the dog sign. Beware a dog sign. You put a food bowl at the back door. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You're creating these illusions. Okay, that this is a high risk target. Sounds crazy. Just remember, hard targets don't get hit. I love the beware of dog sign with the picture, okay? And pretty much, like you can go online, Amazon sells the alarm signs. They probably sell beware of dog signs, okay? So we're creating that illusion. Very, very simple. All right, so just talking about a house, if you were gonna fortify it based on what is the prevalent trends, front door number one, 34% of entries are made through the front door. Here in Clayton County, they are usually Bigfoot entries. They kick it in, okay? No burglary tools needed. You know, what times in your mind, you're thinking, you know, some guy gets bolt cutters and, the crowbar, no, just feet, okay? So that hardening the door, what most people think is, okay, I've got really good locks. What fails is the frame. Okay, they kick it, it takes the striker plate, just rips it free, and it breaks the frame. Okay, I was on a SWAT team and I broke down, I don't know how many doors, but what always failed was the frame, not the door, not the lock. So what you can do is longer screws for all of those striker plates is rather than having that little 1.5 inch number, pull it out and then go to a hardware store and find a longer version that would run through and go into the frame. That's the house frame. They also make heavier duty striker plates. That's the part that fails. That's that little strip that has the holes in it where the actual bolts go. That is where you fortify this thing. Same thing on the frame side. Some of those screws, replace them with longer screws. That's what fails. The door's not going to fail. It's the frame. Even the locks may not fail, but the frame will. That's where it's going to break. 22% at the back door, basement and first floor window entries follows it. So I want you to look at set 2% second floor. So if you were buying an alarm system and you're having to be budget minded, would you even worry about putting sensors on the second floor? Yeah, so some of us would. If you're wanting full sense of mind, but based on numbers, always do the research about what's the most commonality of what's going to happen. Front door, 34% of all burglaries are coming right through the front door. Okay. All right, safety in the workplace.
So, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, now you're speaking about homes.
Yes, ma'am.
What about people in apartments?
Okay, apartments, all that ring stuff, you can get that for an apartment complex. Now, the good thing with apartments is usually their doors sometimes are a little better. Sometimes they're a little more heavy duty. What's really nice in a commercial setting, like I said, I've been on a SWAT team and had to breach stuff. The nightmare for us to breach is a steel frame or an aluminum frame. Oh my goodness, a road, one of those, the old style motels where it has the big plate glass window and all the aluminum is what, oh my goodness. I hit one of them with a ram and the ram bounced off and all that stuff just flexed. And oh yeah, we even had to just break the glass. But I wasn't going to get through that door. Apartments, again, even though it's a pain to get your furniture up there, second floor over first floor, almost always. But same thing. What's the door entry? Is the apartment complex itself, is it a gated? Gated is always slightly better. Okay, there's some type of controlled access. It's always going to be a little better. Being more toward the back, probably versus being toward the front, give or take. With the same theory, like I said, there is no, I could say in the back of your apartment complex backs up to a trail to another apartment complex, and maybe your apartment is even more susceptible. So, there's not always a blanket answer. But there are things you can do. You can add some extra security to the back of the door. Some of those apartment complexes will allow you to do other things, to it. All right, control opportunities at work. The classic theft in the office setting is the office creeper. Okay, if you don't know what an office creeper is or ever experienced that, or what an office creeper is someone who disguises themselves to look like they should work there, including like a suit. They're able to get in and they basically go cubicle to cubicle, taking wallets, taking purses, taking cell phones off the desk, opening desk doors, getting necklaces, things like that. You know, the office creeper is the standard style of an office theft. If you don't take it in there, it can be stolen. Okay, so always do that cost benefit analysis. Do I really need to carry it in there? Because if you carry it in there, it's not an environment that you are always in control of, you know, you can lose it. Now, the big thing that anytime I talk to the business community, hit the button. Thank you. There we go. Controlled access is best. So if you are an employer or you're in an office setting, controlled access is always better, even if it's old fashioned key to get in and out of where the employee should be working. My office is pretty secure. Okay. All of our offices here at headquarters, it takes more than a smile to get into where our offices are. Okay. So it's a police department. It should be controlled access, but you know, different offices should be the same thing, some form of controlled access. And I would say that from everything from a convenience store, you know, I go to a convenience store and I'm always thinking about crime prevention stuff. And I'll see the clerk and he's able to go right in the back room, no key, no nothing. Why provide that opportunity? You know, that's not a controlled access point, you know? So, all right, so what about actions that have to do with violence in the workplace? Okay. Normally, violence in the workplace is going to be two things. Some type of domestic violence, where someone has come to somebody's workplace. And then, of course, the other one is a disgruntled employee that is now bent on acts of murder. I'm really funny on terms, but active shooter is one that I'm always kind of funny about. I always think the better term is active murder. It actually puts what the urgency is. I've got someone in an environment and they're taking people's lives. Time, absolutely critical for an intervention on our part. We now train officers for as quick an intervention as possible in these settings. But what about in the 3 or 4 minutes before the police get there? And that's really the time that matters when you were there alone in the situation. Okay. 3 strategies. Okay. Strategy number 1. Leave, get out, break out a window, get out of the building, go out the back door, whatever it is, physically escape and get away. Deny yourself as a target by simply not being there. Okay, get away. Strategy number 2, hide and barricade. Okay, same thing, have to hide. The next level of that would be obviously to barricade yourself in. If you've got a private office where you can lock the door, or you go to a janitor's closet, lock the door, or go in a room and push furniture against it, all you need to buy is time. We're coming. I don't know how long it's going to take for us to get there, but it's hopefully going to be minutes, maybe even seconds, that you need to push the time between you and the killer. Okay, push that clock up. The last, fight. Okay, it sounds crazy, but if I've got somebody in somewhere killing somebody, you may have to fight back. Okay, whatever, weapons of opportunity, multiple people tackling the suspect. These things have happened where people in office have tackled the gunman. Okay, it sounds crazy, but it has worked. Okay, now maybe somebody got hurt on the front end, but I would rather fight back. That's me. I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna fight for my life. He might get me, but I'm gonna make him work for it. Okay. All right, supervisor dealing with employees. This is one of our big, violence in the workplace. How can it be prevented? We have anybody here that's a supervisor at work? Okay, I got a couple. Okay. A couple supervisors at work. Okay. Biggest thing in dealing with employees, especially where there's going to be a separation, it's going to be a termination, we're going to release you. And we think it's going to be a difficult separation. They've got some anger issues, or they've exhibited some behaviors that are not okay with us. And we would like to not go forward with our organization with you as a member. Okay? The dignity dominant. You have to protect their dignity. It sounds crazy, but people don't always think about what happened to them. They think about how they were treated. So if this is somebody who's already a little unstable anyway, we don't want to give them any extra ammo, right? Psychological ammo anyway. So if I was going to release somebody, I know a release is coming, when would I do it? When would you time it if possible? If it didn't have to be immediate.
End of the day.
End of the day? What day of the week?
Friday.
Friday. End of the day on a Friday. So the next day, they don't wake up off schedule, not going into the office. It's a weekend. They have time, you're giving them 2 days to process it. It'll be Monday before the schedule is actually really altered. Right? Okay. Who should do the termination? Immediate supervisor, agency head, who? Immediate supervisor, no.
No.
Not the supervisor they've had conflict with, or the one who's come up with the reasons for the termination.
I'm trying to say HR.
HR. If you have HR, absolutely, and the HR head person, right? Someone that employee has not had interactions with before. So the familiarity and whatever the tension and friction and whatever is not there, right? Where should it take place? In an office or in a conference room? Conference room. Why?
Because you have more area space.
More area space. The biggest one is if the person doing the presentation of the termination needs to have the ability to say, we're done, and get up and leave. Okay? If it goes south, the person's not receiving the news well, that person doing the presentation, okay? What about having security or armed police out in the hallway? Good or bad? Bad. Why?
Because they go into the fence.
They go into defense. And again, what are we talking about? Trying to protect dignity a little bit. Does the HR supervisor or the supervisor doing the release, do they need to have the appearance of backup? No, they should be strong enough that, listen, we as an organization made this decision. We're no longer going forward with your employment with us. And they don't need backup. They don't need Big Joe from the loading dock. Okay. Those are all things that are kind of inflammatory. Okay. Those are all things that are inflammatory. Does that make sense? Unless security is truly an issue, like this person is like displayed a gun and said, "Hey, fire me, I'm shooting this place up." That's a whole nother situation. But we're just talking about difficult separations. Yes.
Well, all the things that you're talking about, some jobs don't have it, like HR, and some of
Right.
small offices with just 5 or 6 people.
Yep.
So when I fire, I always have somebody with me.
Right. And that's fair. But it should be professional, and it shouldn't be that immediate supervisor who has kind of rung up the problem and said, "Hey, this person's not working out. We've had these issues." And it should be pretty concise. You know, we've had these issues, single sentences, you know, you were late 3 times, you had a confrontation with so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Listen, at this time, right? We just, here's the facts, here's the reasons, the decision has been made. No hope, no benefit of hope. This is what's happening. Okay. All right. So we want to protect dignity. That's the thing. We want to keep that fragile vessel of ego intact if we can. Okay. So because we don't want them to come back next week, you know, kicking in the door with an assault rifle. We want them to continue their life. All the conversations should be forward and positive based. You know, we hope that you're going to seek other employment elsewhere, and that you have a better opportunity at another department or whatever. Yes, all those types of things should be future based and positive. Hopefully, send them away on a good note. We want them to think about what they did, not the fact they just got fired. All right, dating and relationships. All right, so number 1, socializing. Limit outgoing information, especially have a new circle of friends. We don't know these people. They didn't pass a background check. We don't know who they are. We think they're nice. We think they're cool. What do they really need to know? Okay. No one needs to know about your upcoming vacation. Okay. How many of you notify the post office when you leave town or you're going to stop your mail? Okay, if you're gonna leave town, you're going for a 2-week vacation on a cruise, tell the mailman to hold your mail. Okay. I would recommend probably you have somebody get it. Again, if they're not in the circle of trust, we know for certain, where does the information need to go? Because I'm creating opportunities, the more people who have that information. Does that make sense? So, and yeah, people pay for information. People will buy information about, okay, who did this, who had a service cut off, or what have you. Okay, we don't know why provide the opportunity. Okay. All right, so what information do you protect? I mean, what's really solid as far as identity theft and those types of issues? What things do we really need to guard very closely?
Social security.
Okay, I got 4 things. Social security number, one of them, social security number.
Bank information.
Which one?
Bank information.
Kind of, so I'm gonna go, so it's on the 4, but not quite that 4.
Address,
Date of birth.
Oh,
address.
Security number?
Okay. Okay, I got 2, social security number, date of birth,
No address.
Location,
location.
where,
Full
like on
name?
social media, they put your location where you're at.
Sometimes if it has to do with, you're away from home and your house gets burglarized.
What
Yeah, I
about your
don't
full
have that
name?
feature on.
What about your full name?
Full name,
okay.
your full name. The 4th one, which you're on the right track, is checks. Okay? How many of y'all remember, maybe not as old as I am, but where you'd go to a grocery store and actually write a check for groceries? Okay, people still do that, okay? Now, let's think about this, what this piece of paper is. This piece of paper has your name, it has your address, probably has your phone number on it. It has your bank account number, a routing number, a check number, and your signature. You have given, here's a blueprint to a whole lot of your financial stuff. Okay, I mean, you think about a suspect, he can go online, order some checks, put all that information on the check, the routing number, the account number. He knows what your signature looks like now. He knows what check number he probably should get them printed. Right, this can get sideways quick off of that one little thing. And guess what? In the modern era, that cashier ain't got to take the check. They can just take a picture of it with their cell phone. Okay.
Back in the day, my dad used to have his social security number on his check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a time that your driver's license number in Georgia had your social security number on. So, and I'm kind of funny when I fill out a form and it has on there social security. I'm like, okay, why? I put it on there. You got to explain to me why you think you need that. Now, my doctor, I understand why the medical people need your date of birth. That makes sense. They kind of access the medical profession is kind of moved over to date of birth. But same thing. Why? Yeah. If I don't think they need it, they don't get it. This is a simple one, my social item. Oh, get trouble. Now, this is a simple one. Sounds crazy, but what happens to inhibitions when you drink?
They go away.
They become lower for everybody, okay? You're not unique, we're all human. Inhibitions go lower. What I say to do, because I mean, like I said, I totally enjoy alcohol, okay? But where are you at and what are you doing? Okay, I have certain rules. I definitely don't drink outside the United States more than 1 or 2. If I'm in another country, no. If I'm in another city, I don't know, I'm not familiar with the courtesy customs, all those people there, I don't know them. Guess what? I need to have my wits about me 100%. Okay. So I kind of calibrate what I'm going to do based on where I'm at and what is my exposure to people in situations that I may not know, be familiar with. So it sounds great. Like if I'm on a cruise ship, good to go. I'm in port in the Bahamas. No. No, not so. No. I'm down in Mexico. Yep, nope, don't want to mess up and go into the Mexican jail. I'm not studying that. Whatever. So be smart about it, because the big part of this, you could be a crime victim. There's some horrific stories out there in other parts of the world, even things like harvesting organs. Get somebody drunk at a bar, take them, they wake up in an alley, they've had their kidneys removed. Now they got to have dialysis. So, yeah, horrific stuff can happen. So I'm very careful about intoxication drink. Don't let your Yes.
People need to also remember friend code too.
You what?
For the
Friend code.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about the friend code in this minute. Yeah. Don't let your drink out of your sight. That is a class one, especially for women. Okay. Roofies and putting something in your drink. If you're out somewhere, nightclub, bar, they don't even have a restaurant where you drink. Don't let your drink out of your sight. You're gonna have to go to the bathroom, finish the drink, go to the bathroom, come back and order a new one. And see that the bartender brings it. Okay? Yeah, it doesn't get out of your sight unless you have a friend, watch my drink. Yeah, you trust. They're in a circle of trust. Okay? All right, online dating. Okay? This is an exposure. That's a real world thing, right? It's there's a lot of people that do online dating. Been there, done that. Okay. All right. It's okay. So there's all sorts of data. There's dating sites. There's like, farmers.com or something. I mean, you name the social group, and there's probably a dating app or whatever it's for. Okay. So with that, when we're exposing ourselves to a stranger, a lot of times, so we've never met, right? This is a serious opportunity to victimize. Okay. So number one, first meeting should be daytime in a public place like a coffee shop, not a bar, not a drink, for the reasons I just talked about. What happens to expectations? Sometimes they're not calibrated real clear. Okay, right? Your expectations, oh my God, the profile looks great. Oh my goodness. Okay. Your expectations are here, then you get there, and then let's say you decided to have that first meet where we're going to have a drink. Our inhibitions. Okay. First meeting should be sober. And it ought to have certain expectations put on. Hey, we're gonna have, we're gonna do my lunch thing, and only 40 minutes is all I got. Let's meet there. Bada boom, bada bing. Okay. So you don't have to have maybe a bailout plan for that person. Okay. But, and here's the other thing, don't take any of your real world information until after this first meeting. In other words, all those things have chat in the app, right? Don't give any of your real world information you've had in face-to-face and got a face-to-face read. In other words, don't text me. I'm not giving you my email. Meet them first, at least once, for the 30-minute coffee shop meet before they get any personal ways of contacting you, in case that ends up being bad. Okay, I have one or two. All right, so and locally it's just relationship stuff. However, could it be that you realize this person's a creeper? The pictures were in the profile was their high school pictures. They don't look nothing like that, and they actually give you the creeps, and you really don't want to have any future contact with this person, right? The app usually will allow you to block another user. Okay, so safe call. Okay, so if you're going to have this meeting, now there's a couple things you can do. Number one, have someone go with you. Have them sit at another table, and they don't know that that's there. That would be safety level number one. Safety level number two is a safe call. So imagine this. You got that, you're on this date, you both have your cups of coffee, and you sit at the table, and as soon as you sit down, the phone rings. The other person sitting across from you. Yes, hello, yep. Yes, I'm meeting David right now. Yep. He's in blue jeans and a sweater. Yep, and he drove in the camera. Yep. Okay, all right. I will call you when I'm back in the car. Okay. That's a safe call. You have your buddy call you at a given time to check on you in front of the date. Okay, and it's that obvious. Now this is a litmus test. Okay, someone whose intentions are genuine is not going to mind that you had safety precautions in place. Someone whose intentions are maybe less than is going to be irritated by this. Someone who would be a future problem, someone who is controlled, manipulated, they're not going to like that because you just showed that you're independent and you have your security in mind. Does that make sense? It's right there in front of them. You just put it on the line that you're not in the circle of trust yet. And keep it, I know with emotional stuff and dating stuff, it's hard to keep it objective. But what I mean by objective is the objective reality is you're meeting a stranger. You don't know anything about them maybe, or very only what you've read on a profile. Which I've seen some creative writing on a profile. Okay, all right. So have a bailout plan, okay? This would probably go for other dates if you're going on, but a bailout plan is real simple, where you're able to text a friend and then they call you and say your house is on fire. Okay. Or the dog, okay, hey, listen, I gotta go. I'm sorry, something just came up. So you can get out of there. Okay, have a bailout plan in place. Someone who can call you or meet with you or bail you out of a given situation. It's completely fair. Okay. All right. Warning signs. So when it comes to the relationship, dating things, y'all tell me, what do you think are warning signs that this is maybe this could be an issue later where I have a stalking situation?
You're just such a good person. I like you. I can see a future. You know, all of that within the first 2 days.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yes.
Or if their favorite song is Every Breath You Take by the Police.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yes, Ms. Mosley, we're on the right track. Okay. Accelerated pace of the relationship. On a second or third date, they're talking about the kids and the marriage. Where are y'all gonna live? You're gonna retire in Boca, all this kind of stuff. Okay. Accelerated pace relationship. Man, up front, they start blowing your phone up. Okay, inappropriately. 20 calls in 4 hours. Okay, that is not normal. Someone blowing your phone up. I'm not talking about texting back and forth. I'm talking about when you're like, hey, I'm at work, I'll call you here in a little bit. Hey, what are you doing? Where are you at? Okay. Okay, there's sign number one that may be back. Cagey about their past. Cagey about their past. All of us have a past. Most people whose intentions are genuine are okay being an open book. Okay, I mean, I've got my personal, things can be toxic, and not having trust and not being an open book creates problems. Someone who starts being cagey about, they don't have a Facebook profile. Hey, where do you work? Oh, well, I work different places. Okay. Hey, when are you available? I don't know. Okay. Maybe they're not really interested in you or whatever. Somebody really is. They got no problem. They're gonna be able to answer all that stuff straight up. Basic questions should be able to be answered right up front. Okay. The biggest things is controlling behaviors. People who end up being stalkers, accelerated rate of the relationship, and then they are wanting to get their spider web and intermingle with your spider web. They want to meet your friends immediately. They want to meet your family immediately. They want their contact information. They want to talk to them, and then big danger signs of the whole stalking thing is make that, if I can't have them, no one can.
Right. That is not love language.
That is not love language. No, it's not. Okay. All right. So some weapons against crime. Some weapons against crime. Intuition. Okay. Fear. I'm gonna talk about why this is important in a minute. But being intuitive, good. Dread, dark humor. If you say something kind of in jest about a situation, like, let's go down here. Hope you don't hit me again. Okay. Whatever, almost as a joke, but people, or hope it's not another awkward date or whatever, because you talk to your friends about it and you talk about some things. Okay. Something's wrong. DLR, don't look right. Okay. That's a police term. Don't look right. Okay. It's July and I see someone standing outside the QT in a full length trench coat.
Right.
Something don't look right. Okay. All right. Intuition is rarely wrong when it has to do with personal safety. It has a long history in crime encounters. Okay. I'm going to talk about why it works in a second. But trust your gut. Okay. Now I'm not talking about intuition about what I think the lottery is going to be. And I'm not talking about intuition about whether I think it's going to thunderstorm tonight. I'm talking about when that little flame goes off in the back of your head and says, this is not safe. I'm talking about that flame, that intuition. The how the brain and how the mind works is never more sleek and polished than when it has to do with personal safety. Okay, those mechanisms are good. So why does it work? It's based in science. This is not voodoo, chicken bones, and incense. Okay, it's not. What happens is the subconscious mind works much faster than the conscious mind, about 3 times the cognitive rate. So if you would imagine a computer, you've kind of got the RAM, the working memory that's going on right now, but in the back, you've got the hard drive and the processor. Okay, and it's working really, really fast. If I say the word orange, everybody in here instantly thought of the color of the fruit, I guarantee it. Faster than Google. It's faster than Google. The subconscious mind is faster than Google. So your mind will create shortcuts. Okay. And when it comes to something where you may be in danger, it's simply going to send the signal of danger to the forebrain, and it may skip all the objective observation that it took to process. That makes sense? Okay. So it's coming from the subconscious at a much faster rate, and it's really efficient. And you might not, you might just, this is dangerous. And maybe not even calculate at that time why you thought it was dangerous. Okay. So when it comes to personal safety, listen to your heart, listen to your gut. Okay. Something makes you nervous, there's probably a reason. If that kind of interests you, I'm going to recommend 2 books. Gift of Fear by Gavin DeBecker. If you're really interested in like personal safety, crime prevention, that is a great book, Gift of Fear. He's a former Secret Service agent. He now specializes, if you see any celebrities with bodyguards, chances are they're employees of Becker and Associates. The Becker and Associates. They actually have an office here in Atlanta, but that's all that guy does is risk stuff and risk contracts and bodyguard type work. And great book, Gift of Fear. The other one is Blink, which is a Malcolm Gladwell book, Power of Thinking Without Thinking. It kind of really gets into the science of how informed intuition, like police officers, those of us who have been in law enforcement a while, we get intuition about things. And our informed intuition is probably different than everyone else's intuition, right? And life experiences kind of fuels that intuition. Have you ever heard that women are more intuitive than men?
Yes.
Absolutely true. Okay. For whatever reason, women seem to be more willing to listen to intuition than a man is. Okay. So, all right. So what to do if? What if you're being followed in the parking lot? I'll give you some ideas. Being followed in the parking lot and you think this is truly y'all being followed.
I'm gonna
Go back into the store.
Go back to the store?
Yes.
Absolutely correct. And I'm gonna give some more detail. What do you have?
No, I was asking my order on my car.
You are walking. You're walking in the parking lot. So you hear footsteps behind you.
Go to a crowded place.
Go to a crowded place, kind of on what the lady in the back was saying. Okay, what else?
No, I know.
You what? I know you know.
If you have alarm on your key, then you put an alarm.
You could hit the alarm with a button. Okay, let me ask you this one about that. How many of y'all have heard a car alarm in the parking lot?
Mhm.
You heard? Okay, yeah. How many of y'all ran over to investigate?
Right.
Everybody ignore it.
Nobody wants to do that. Right? Nobody investigates that. Okay, so you think you're being followed. And let's say you're kind of doing this, a calculation in your head, and you're like, there's no way I can get my cell phone out in time. They're that close. Turn around promptly and face them. Okay? Start walking back toward the store. Okay, walk back. So you're going to walk right past them. Make brief eye contact. Not a stare down, not a confrontation, just eye contact. Okay? Now you've done a couple things. If they were going to attack you, they were going to attack you anyway. Okay? If they made their mind to attack you, they were going to do it anyway. But now, guess what? They're not doing it from behind. They now face you, and you now made eye contact. They now know that you can describe them. You know how tall they are. You know what they were wearing. You know if they have facial hair, whatever. Okay? And that you are willing to take control of the situation. It's a very passive way to be confrontational. Okay? But you turn around, you make eye contact, and you walk right past them, going the other direction. Okay? Because I want to turn them off. I want them to, for me to think, it's the only active thing I can do to make them think, this is a person who will fight back. This is a person who's just not gonna just melt and go away. Here's the other thing, which I think the next click is like kidnapping. Any of these situations involving rape or abduction or whatever, the time to fight, the time to intercede, in most places, is at the point of abduction. That is when you probably are gonna have the best chance to create an escape. Okay, so that initial, you turn around and yes, you were 5'6", you're wearing blue jeans and a black shirt and you're wearing a red ball cap. Boom, okay, they now know that you've got that description, at least. Okay, you've seen them, you've made eye contact. Like I said, just like you forgot something. And walk right back past them. Okay, confident, head up, shoulders back, like I'm ready to punch you in the face, right? But like I said, just a quick eye glance. It's not confrontational. It's not a stare down. Just quick eye contact. Okay. Little help. All right, being robbed at gunpoint. Okay, somebody gets to drop on you instead of gun on you. This is a simple answer. What do you think?
Walk one direction and all after.
Yes.
Pray.
Give them give them what they want. Okay, it's all material, right? It's all material stuff, right? Wallet, purse, backpack, luggage, they can have it. I'll get more stuff. It's just stuff.
And zigzag when you run it.
Right. Exactly right. Yeah. Yes. Run in the other direction as quickly as possible. But yeah, give them something to pick up. Sacrificial stuff, that sacrificial wallet, that purse, and hopefully everything in there basically is stuff you can be replaced. Okay. All right. All right. Someone tries to kidnap you. Okay. Kind of alluded to it. The point in which you need to make as much noise as possible, if you're going to make noise, is that point of abduction. What do you scream or yell?
Fire.
Okay. Everybody's heard the fire one before.
I was going murder.
Security.
Murder, security.
Help.
Okay.
Well,
All right. Yell help.
Okay. Like murder.
All right. Murder may scare people. Okay. The fire one is a classic. Okay, yell fire because everybody's like, okay, what's on fire? I should go investigate what's on fire. I'm gonna give you a third option. Yell a man's name. Help, John! John, help me! John, help! Okay, because now this person is going, what? Who is John?
And everybody wants to know who done it.
Where is John? Right, how big is John? Okay. I have now created a psychological diversion that might buy me the escape. Who in the world is John? Now here's my thing for all of us in here. If you heard a lady in a parking lot yelling, help John, or help one, would you go and see what the heck's going on? Yes, people are probably still going to respond to the help Jeff or help. Yes. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Does that make sense? I want to create this distraction, this illusion. Oh God, who's John? Where's this joke? Okay. All right. Someone tries to rape you. Okay. Now, we know by stats that most of these are a lot of times are acquaintance or date rape situations. So, but let's just say the stranger on stranger type of a rape or encounter. Someone's trying to sexually assault. There are some mild defenses. This also is going to go from the defense of the kidnapping. On the kidnapping, what can you physically do? Go limp as a rag. I mean, let every muscle in your body completely relax and become a limp form. Okay? Hopefully, once you're ever try to move a dead body, it will beat you to death. Oh my God, you by yourself trying to move a limp human being is absolute work. Okay? If you've ever tried to move a sack of concrete, weighs 80 pounds. Okay, well imagine two of them. That much weight in a loose sack of some kind, and you trying to, oh my God. The only thing the person could do is if they have the strength is pick you up and take you. Go absolutely be an absolute limp form, let your entire body just relax. Just be, they grab you by the arm and the arm is
Go home and practice.
Yes. All right. Other things on the rape thing is make yourself gross. Okay, rape is usually a crime about power. It's usually not about sexual gratification, it's about power. It's about them having power and influence over someone else. If you're not conscious, they are not able to get the fear response that they want. They want the look of fear and control. If you're passed out, you've taken that away. The other thing is make yourself gross. Now, this is going to be kind of graphic, but you can actively do things. One, stick your finger down the throat and puke all over yourself. Okay, urinate, defecate, make yourself gross. Turn them off. They want to feel power and sexual gratification. These are things that are opposite of that. And these are things that have worked. Victims have done these things and they have worked. They're passive responses, but they have worked. But imagine, this, oh yeah, I've got this woman, and also she pukes all over herself. Okay, most of us look at that image and like, oh my God, that's totally disgusting. Right?
But it worked.
But it would work.
Wash it off.
You had to wash it off. Exactly, wash it off. All right, so my last button there is no single response, okay? There have been women who had to, for their safety, they submitted to it, okay? But if they came out the other end safe, ultimately safe, then it was the right decision. There is no one right decision, right? What may work in one situation might not work in another situation. I talked about going limp as a rat. I had a young lady this morning, she probably weighed 100 pounds. That would probably not work because someone can simply pick her up. Okay, yes.
On social media, a bunch of men have advertised that today is National Rape Day.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So you have another group of men telling women how to protect themselves with different things.
Oh, my goodness.
But it's National Rape Day today.
Wow.
So what they doing?
That's
They
disturbing.
They're saying they're gonna be breaking in and single women homes.
Today is
and-
National Guy Day then.
Look,
Let me hit the button.
it's like that's the cat cat.
All right, stalker from a past relationship. I'm going long on time here. What is your basic 10 minutes? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
What is your basic defense on stalkers? Is one was kind of what I covered earlier. If there are warning signs at the beginning of the relationship, that's probably your biggest defense. But let's just say it happens. Everything from ex-husband to whatever, where someone will get all into stalker mode. Okay. The biggest thing is target denial. Okay. Who's the most protected person on the planet? President of the United States. Okay. The Secret Service does a phenomenal job, but their central strategy is to remove the protectee from the danger, not to fight the danger, to remove the protectee. You have to become your own Secret Service. And you have to make yourself a deniable target. And that may mean severing contact with certain people, it may mean moving, it may mean changing jobs, but cutting the contact off. Most of the violence in stalker cases occurs from the estrangement, not from the domestic violence when you're cohabitating. Though bad things happen there too. Most of it occurs from when the woman finally says, I've had enough and I'm moving out. That's when that person who was controlling has lost their sense of control. And guess what? A lot of the stalkers, their fear of rejection overrides the common sense of their own life or going to jail. Okay, so even though there's legal mechanisms like temporary protective orders and things like that, they don't come with a bodyguard. That make sense? All right. All right, so self-defense training, I'm going to scroll through basically what are some pros and cons of self-defense training. Okay, so obviously today you've got a whole bunch of information. But what would be some of the pros? What would be good? Like if you took a defensive tactics class for a year, or you joined a martial arts studio, what would be the pros of that?
You could probably be more aware of your surrounding and more alert and attentiveness, so if something do happen.
You're a little bit more alert, yeah, sure.
Confidence.
Confidence,
Yeah.
absolutely. If you studied a martial art for a year, you would certainly be a more confident person, right? What else?
You have a quicker reaction.
Quicker reaction time, probably gonna be maybe a little more physically fit, right? Because there's almost always a physical fitness component to defensive tactics training. Absolutely. What are the cons?
Superman syndrome.
False sense of confidence. Okay, a false sense of confidence. Since this is primarily a group of women, I doubt there's some UFC fans in here. Oh, okay. All right, there is. Listen, there's always weight classes in wrestling, boxing, and MMA. And anybody that thinks that size and aggression don't matter has never been hit by a really big guy. Okay, so techniques that you might learn and they work in the static setting of a karate studio, real world, may not be nearly as effective, especially if you have a false sense of confidence. Oh, I'm just going to do this. Then all of a sudden now I'm confronted with an attacker who's 6'4", 250 pounds, and he's mad. Okay, that's a problem. Okay, all right. So just some basic stuff. Elbow strikes are some things you're going to see in defensive tactics class. Okay, upper body strikes. The elbow is the most powerful, most devastating. Okay, absolutely. Talking about trying to strike with the last 3 inches of the elbow. Okay. To the rear, all told, there's 7 elbow strikes. The normal, I'm teaching a class, 7 different elbow strikes. Okay, groin kick. Okay, this is a classic. If you take any self-defensive training, you'll see this one. I'm going to give you my 2 cents on it. Okay, one, first of all, these pictures. It's a woman and a guy of not dissimilar height. The groin kick is a classic. Okay, I grew up doing martial arts. I started when I was like 8 years old doing martial arts. In high school, I was doing karate tournaments. If you remember the Karate Kid, they got the flag. That's the type of tournaments I did. I can assure you, I have been hit there so hard that it made me nauseated. Okay, hurt. Oh my God, I've never had it put me on the ground and take me out of the fight. Okay, and I'm not saying I have a super high pain tolerance, but it made me mad. It did not render me ineffective. Okay, so
you're saying that's not the best thing to do?
no, it may work great, especially if you catch somebody by surprise. But things can also go sideways. And I always like, even when I'm talking to police crews, there are people who would say, teach you dirty techniques like pinching people and things like that. And it's like, okay, well, that's fine and good, but if you end up in a fight on the ground and you pinch somebody, and they have the option of getting up off of you, or, oh, you're gonna do that to me, I'm gonna do that to you. And you planted the seed. So, palm heel strikes are classic. Headlock escape. This is where you start getting more complex stuff. You were taking defensive tactics class. Okay. Okay, what about weapons? Actually buying and investing in the weapon system. Okay. A head shake. Okay. With everything, there are pros and cons. And from the last group this morning, we had a lot of questions about firearms. Okay. So I will give you my insight on it. Number one, before you ever go make that purchase, in your mind, picture a situation in which you would use deadly force and everything that might come with it. Meaning that I fire the gun, this person falls down, I watch them take their last breaths, I did it, then the police show up, and then everything that's going to come afterwards on the scene. The police are the finders of fact, so they're probably going to cuff me till they find out what all is going on. And then it's going to be a question of, okay, now I'm probably going to have to find an attorney. And morally, can you live with that in your mind that you took another human being's life? Even if it means protecting yours. I've had police recruits quit when I truly put them to that question. Have you truly examined this possibility and its repercussions? And that's sometimes a very tall order. Okay. All right. All right, so being, I'm gonna roll through this because I know Chief and DA would like to speak to you before you leave. Be a good witness, okay? If we do encounter crime, try to be really observant. Some of those very difficult situations that are really tense. How tall are they? What are they wearing? Hopefully, we're able to come back and provide good testimony. Okay, in all the court system, physical evidence is nice in the era of CSI, the TV show, but nothing is more effective in court than direct testimony. It's people testifying and being credible witnesses. Okay, have a mirror file. Have you ever thought about this? If I do get burglarized or my house burns down, do I have the ability to replicate everything that I would need somewhere on a thumb drive in a safe deposit box? Do I have a mirror file with my important documents tucked away in case something happens? A list of commonly stolen items with the serial number. Okay, just I have a Panasonic 75. That ain't gonna do it. Got to have the serial number. That's how we can identify it when it ends up in a pawn shop on the side of the road. Okay. Call the police right away. If you're a victim of crime or crime happens, try to be proactive about that. You did nothing wrong and you're going to take charge of the situation. This may be difficult, especially in cases of sexual assault. It's normal for you to second guess yourself, but get a hold of somebody. Okay. We've had where, you know, like a rape victim, they're traumatized, and what do? They don't call anybody. Well, they call their friend. They get a shower, which is destroying evidence. Okay, so get involved, get medical attention by all means. Okay, and in some cases, you may be eligible for Crime Victim Compensation Act, which is some of the material you have. There is some criteria to it. But if you end up being a crime victim, there is processes of compensation. We basically charge the bad guys to fund that program. Okay, making a 911 call. If you're making a 911 phone call, try to give a location right up front. I'm at 208 Crystal Court. I'm on a hiking trail on the Greenway at marker so-and-so. Up front, in case the call is cut off, we have to be able to get to you. If we get if we get a 911 hang up, but they gave us a location, trust me, officers are going there. Okay? Officers are going to go there. So, and then of course, what's happening? If you're able to on the 911 call and you know who the suspect is in case of a stalker, something like that, you know who it is, say it on the 911 call. Okay? All right. Leave the line open. Sometimes it's necessary. If you're being assaulted, leave the cell phone, leave the call open. It's being recorded. Maybe you're able to give information. Okay, maybe you're able to provide information. Everybody seen the movie Taken?
Yeah.
Okay, that little snippet of information before a bad guy turns the phone off, you know, we need to find you. And like I talk about the online dating, you're trying to leave breadcrumbs in case something happens to you. We know where to start. We know where to go. We know who we're dealing with in the case if you know who the suspect is. How many of you ever practiced making a 911 call? Practice it at some point. Okay. Okay.
You don't call 911 though.
No, don't call 911. I'm talking about just take a phone, turn it off, and actually just what would I say? Where am I at? What's my home address? And what information would I provide in different services? All right. Sorry, be a little long-winded. Yeah, a little better. Okay. Any questions? Yes.
Do you know where you take the self-defense class?
Yeah. That was one of the cons is it's completely unregulated industry. But I would do some research before I dial in and start paying someone for lessons. I would check them out, find out what their reputation is. You know, if there's any Google reviews or anything else.
Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to say was what I've noticed is that in the age of AirPods and everything, people always are walking around
And
unaware.
completely unaware of their surroundings. Yes.
The other thing is tasers. There's two things really I want to say. Tasers.
Yeah.
The benefits, or if a person is able to have a taser to tase somebody, they get. I know it has to be somewhat close contact. The other part of that is, I know you're addressing a crowd of younger people. I'm an old lady. So I think a part of dealing a situation also is helping the more mature people know how to handle these situations, because we're the ones that are being, jacked up.
Absolutely.
So there's something.
Okay, that's, oh, don't worry, we'll do this again. That's something good for older.
And they're gonna do the closing, and I'll stand by, and I'm approachable, I'm right here, I'll be more happy to.
No, we'll get one towards, mature, cause I'm 50, I'm 50 and, this time I didn't say pull out my gun, cause if you come up behind me, I'm scared. I'm the first to admit, because of the nature of the job that I do. So nobody should ever approach me from behind. That's why I tell people, don't come up from me from behind, because I'm gonna fight. That's my first instinct, is to fight. And so, my brothers always taught me to get DNA. And so the way they taught me was, see, you go scratching. See, I ain't automatically to my mouth. I'm gonna bite. I'm taking a chunk of it out.
Oh,
All right, Mike
Be it
Tyson.
ear or a nose or something, because somebody's got to be around to tell the truth.
That's right.
And I prefer it's me. Now, if you miss the tip of your nose, somebody knows. That's just the truth of the matter. But we brought up something, we didn't think about the mature audience. So we will definitely do this, because this is something that we know with this pandemic, we've been seeing a rise in these type of assaults, these type of crimes when people are at home and their loved one is hurting them and they can't get out and don't know how to protect themselves. So putting on this type of class, spending a Saturday doing this is something that we want to do, because we don't want to see this type of crime continue. We want to empower people so that you are not victims. We don't ever want you to have the word victim, so that when we do this next year we'll do the mature class sooner than that. But every year, this week is set aside as Victims' Rights Week. Yeah, we don't want that. We want a celebration.
Y'all should do it like twice a year. This was nice.
Okay, we will do it. This is
Very informative.
This is easy. This is the easy part of our job. I want to introduce you to, this is my victims supervisor, manager. I don't remember anybody's titles in my office, I'll tell you that, because it's a whole bunch of them, it's about 100 of them, and everybody's got a different title. But she is the woman that put this together, Miss Kenya Shepherd. And this is one of my attorneys, Jocelyn. That is one of my legal assistants over there. For my victim service advocate. The point is to make sure that you guys know what your rights are. In each one of those goodie bags, and those are your bags, there is a victim rights card, which is a constitutional right. It tells you what your rights are as a victim. So if you ever are a victim of a crime, you know what we should be doing for you. The prosecution, the police, everybody, what we should be doing. It's a little card that you can put, it's about the size of a credit card, that you can put in your wallet. Also in there is this white little thing that makes a piercing sound. It's a keychain type deal. And we saw the people, the little lady on that comes on Steals and Deals, and she was talking about, this little thing. And I was like, I'm quite sure we can probably get one. And so what it is, it's a keychain little alarm thing.
Where are you going, Chief?
On the side, you'll see a little button. What you do is press that button and you pull down on this little thing. I hope I'm doing it right. I might be doing it. Look, now this is the only one. I don't know. I didn't take the battery thing out. Would help. But you press down on the side and you pull, it makes that noise. It's annoying as all get out. But that's what it does. A little light. And inside there's also a green little whistle thing that also lights up. And honestly, I don't know how this works because it's got a little thing. But there's some brochures and everything. And we just want you to take this bag home, because the last session I told you to take everything home, but the pins belong to the police department. Yeah, and they got all about that, but the bags you can take. And honestly, if you have a neighbor that you know that needs, take it. This technically is your stuff. We get this stuff to help y'all. We just want everybody to be safe, and we say thank you for coming out and, being here today, and we will take suggestions. Tell us what you need so that we can give you what you need to be a safer Clayton County, because that's all we want. That's all we want. So thank you, and I know you probably.
Thank you.
Real quick, I know it's been a long day, but it's been great information, right?
Yes.
Young lady in the green shirt, did you have another question?
I did, about firearm safety, can you guys provide that?
Had that question earlier in the day. We can do firearm safety courses, but not firearms training, because there's an inherent liability that goes with the government actually providing training to the citizens. Now, a firearm safety class can be presented in a classroom type setting, just like Lieutenant McCaslin did today. And let me pause for a minute. Didn't he do a great job? Nice too. That being said, what we need to do is to take away those pieces of information that fit your lifestyle, and that will be effective for you. Everything we presented may not be effective for everybody, but there should have been at least 1 or 2 nuggets in here that will help make you a safer citizen and make the county a lot safer as a whole. So as you go away, take those nuggets. Number 2, we need feedback. So I'm hearing in the room, this was great. But as we drive away, some things are going to come to mind. Like the young lady said, we need to make a presentation for us more seasoned citizens. And some of us a little less seasoned, maybe we can do something different. Those are key pieces of information we need to know. So send those type of recommendations to us through our Facebook page or through the DA office Facebook page. And next year, this time we'll upgrade. Any other questions?
Yeah, I really think y'all should do like random talks like this, maybe every other month.
Okay.
Teenagers, like, this was real nice. I enjoyed it. It's like a community kind of thing, maybe try to, I know every month maybe pushing it, but like maybe every couple of months.
No, it's not, every other month is not, this is something we want to do an outreach every month. It's usually something different, but that's nothing, for me to spend my Saturday, and I'm quite sure Chief feels this way too, reaching out, providing you something that will lessen our crime. It's more productive for me to do it on the front end than having to prosecute somebody on the back end. It honestly is. I prefer spending my time doing this than standing in a courtroom and having to talk to y'all being a victim. So if I can prevent you from being a victim, and I might even potentially prevent a crime, that's what I'm supposed to be doing also. So I don't mind.
Let me add this in the way of engagement. Please, please, please go to our Clayton County Police Department website. This is not the only time we engage. We are in regular engagement. Some of that has slowed down due to the pandemic, but we have quarterly neighborhood watch meetings, we have HOA meetings, we have business summits, our faith forum. And before this, we were doing belief and biases forum just a couple of years ago. So we're not new to engagement. That's the only way we're going to keep this community safe. So we echo what you're saying. If you have recommendations on what you would like to present, like I said, please let us know. We'll try our best to make it safe.
Yes, this exact class would be great just before the holiday, before the
Okay.
Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Okay.
Because that's when a lot of stuff's in the car, that's when a lot of stuff comes home, and and one of the things that I was thinking, I don't know where I heard it, but when you buy a big item, turn the box inside out before you put it down by your driveway.
I burned mine.
Well, yeah, right. But because people see what you buy and it makes you a victim.
Yeah. I tell you, we probably can do it that first, probably the end of October, because if y'all like me, that's when Amazon will start showing up at the door, beginning of November, like they live there. So, we will get that together, and if you're part of an HOA and you want us to come out, we will come out. This is what we do. This is what we do. So thank you once again for coming out, making me grab a goodie bag and take your name.